Hello everyone and welcome, it's Shanna. Now today I'm going to show you how I prepare for KCC challenge. Today I'm using the February 2025 bonus printable, and I've chosen 6 of the sheets, and I've got them cut down to 6 by 6 panels. I actually have 7 here. I cut an extra one or printed an extra one. There are several pattern papers to choose from with this. I just chose 7 that I thought I might want to work with, and I cut them down. And I've got several A2 size panels laying here, and I've got all of my little cut aparts and my sentiments and everything already cut apart and ready to go. And then I use these little card envelopes. They have a little sill on them. They're the ones you can buy and slide your finished cards in and then seal them up if you'd like to sell them or mail them in a protected envelope. And I get those off of Amazon. I'll try to link them in the description box below. So I thought it'd be fun to just kind of go through and show you how I get ready. And I will tell you, I've got these pattern papers here, and I'm just choosing which one I'm going to lay aside and not use since I had an extra one. And then I'm just going to start cutting the first one. I won't cut them all on camera because we don't show the cutting guide in that, because you have to be a member of Kendra's free patron to get the actual cutting guide and the sketches. Now you will notice in my clear envelopes there, I've got each sketch included in my envelope so that I've got it handy right there with me as I am working with my sketches. So there, I will tell you, on the sketch guide, there is a chart, I think on the very last page, that shows you, if you use the cutting guide, which pattern papers are going to be used with which sketch, so that you can use that guide to choose complementary papers and get the right papers together. Now that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm just kind of putting it in order as to how I want to cut these. And I didn't use the chart. I decided for those 2 in the back, I wanted them to be for the pages that had the most cuts. Is kind of how I did it. But most of the time I do use that chart to determine which pattern paper is going to be E, which one's going to be A, which one's going to be B, and that way I know which ones are going to coordinate on the sketches. So anyway, that's just how I do it. And right now I'm just going to cut down the first sketch or the first 6 by 6 piece of paper, and I'll show you what I do. Now I've got all 15 of my envelopes laying there. These tiny pieces just will not fall out of this guillotine. And I'm going to cut these down. And as I'm cutting them, according to the guide, I'm grabbing the appropriate envelope that they go in, and I'm tucking it in there. And I do that so that I do it as I go, and that way I don't get confused on which piece goes where. And so then I'll move on. And the cutting guide has the little scissors there that shows you where your first cut is made. So that was the first cut, and I cut it and I put it away, and then I'm going to go on to the next cut. And then we'll cut it down and we'll get it put away. Now this one is a square that's going to be cut on the diagonal, so I'm just doing that. Now sometimes you'll need to pay attention to the cutting guide, because there may be an extra strip that goes in an envelope, and when you go to assemble it, you're like, what is that for? And it might say for the inside of the card, or it might say like an alternative, like you could choose this pattern paper for this strip instead of the other one. So you want to pay attention to the cutting guide for those as well, because sometimes you may get ready to assemble and you're like, why do I have more strips than what it says I need? And that might be the reason. The other thing that you want to pay attention to on your sketches is it might suggest that you emboss a panel or stencil a panel or something like that. And so she gives you ideas on that as well. So I'm just getting them in the individual envelopes. And we'll just do this for this 6 by 6 piece here, I believe, and then I'll come back and show you all of them and how I've got them all assembled. This is just a short little video, just kind of showing you how I prepare for my KCC challenges. And you can use any kind of holder for yours. I started out using, I had a whole bunch of legal size envelopes, and I still have a bunch of them. And I started out using those to store them in. And then I realized I like these packets better because I could kind of see through them, and it just gave me a better visual. So I moved to these and started putting them in these. My girlfriend puts them in the die pockets that have the closure on them, and those are a little bit more durable. We were talking about that on our last live. In fact, we worked with this particular set on that live. I'll try to link it up. I just did 5 cards on that live, but we're going to be working through this set of 15 over the next, I think, 2 more Mondays. Anyway, so I'm going to get this put in there. I was measuring it just to make sure I had the right piece. Sometimes you get distracted and you have to double check. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to cut up the rest of these. Like I said, we don't show all the cuts online. And so now I've got them all in here. I've got all of these 6x6 pieces of pattern paper cut up and inside these envelopes. And next, I'm going to look at the layering panels and see what needs to be added in there. And for this one, I'm going to bring in some more of that pattern paper, and I'm going to cut it down to the size that the sketch calls for the back layer, and we'll stick this in the envelope. And you can use solids or pattern papers or stenciled or embossed or whatever you want for your back layers. And I usually let the sketch determine, what I do. If I've got a lot of panel showing, I'll use an embossed folder. Now I need to cut the layers that are going to go behind these particular pieces of pattern paper. So I'm going to grab some paper that I want to use, and I'm going to cut it down according to what the sketch says I need. And I'm just getting my layers and getting them put inside the envelope as well. And you can see where this is going to layer that triangle that I split in half there. And then I've got another piece that I need. And I am going to cut it out. Now, sometimes when it calls for strips, I might do strips on each side. I might do a full panel and layer with that. But anyway, so I'm just going to tuck this in. So now I've got all of my pattern paper and all of my layers. Now I just need to figure out what I want to embellish with. And so I'm going to look through all of my goodies there that I have die cut out, and I'm going to find, what's going to be my focal point, what's going to be my sentiment, what am I going to embellish with. And I've picked this Easter one, and I'm going to put it in there. Now I'm going to do the same thing with all the other 14 sketches and get them all in there and nice to go. So you can see I've got them all of my pieces, parts in there. Now at this time I didn't emboss. I just got my panels in there. When I go to assemble my sketches, I may do some embossing. I may do some different things to add some interest. So that's how I simply do it, and I just thought it'd be interesting to show you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.